with France looking to rebuild relations.
Macron meets Merkel in Paris and calls on Germany to help sort out what he calls a dysfunctional Eurozone by accepting more European investment.
Former Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is sentenced to 9.5 years behind bars on corruption charges.
Donald Trump's pick for FBI director has said he would refuse to pledge loyalty to the leader and added it would be highly unlikely he'd agree to meet the president in a one-on-one situation. During a 4.5-hour Senate hearing, Christopher Wray said,
"My commitment is to the rule of law, to the Constitution, to follow the facts wherever they may lead. And there isn't a person on this planet whose lobbying or influence could convince me to just drop or abandon a properly predicated and meritorious investigation."
Trump has labelled an inquiry into alleged Russian interference in the US election a witch hunt. Wray rejected the description. The president fired former FBI director James Comey in May, citing the Russia thing as the reason for the sacking. Critics accuse Trump of obstructing the investigation. Among them are California Democrat Brad Sherman, who, in a long-shot bid, has filed an article of impeachment against the president. Of emails showing the president's son agreeing last year to meet a woman he was told was a Russian government lawyer. She was presented as having possibly damaging information about Democratic candidate Hillary Clinton as part of Moscow's suspected support for Donald Trump.
The US President Donald Trump and his wife Melania have arrived in France ahead of Bastille Day celebrations, but they are a guest of honor for the festivities on Friday, which will commemorate the entry of US troops into World War I 100 years ago. He's due to hold talks with his French counterpart Emmanuel Macron, and after a bumpy start to their relations, it's thought both leaders are looking to improve ties by focusing on shared diplomatic and military endeavors such as Syria and global terrorism. They'll later dine with their wives at a restaurant on the second floor of the Eiffel Tower in Paris.
Emmanuel Macron is hosting Angela Merkel in Paris for the last Franco-German summit before the German elections in September. The French president has called on Berlin to take action to help put right what he calls a dysfunctional Eurozone by accepting more public and private investment in Europe. In an interview published in French and German newspapers, Macron says he has nothing against German competitiveness, but argues it's partly due to the weakness of other economies. The two leaders are also discussing defence, security and counter-terrorism on Thursday. Merkel's visit to Paris coincides with that of Donald Trump, but there are no plans for the German leader to meet the US president.